Milwaukee axe, the axe blade, with some nails. We still got some nails from the last one, and we added a few more just to make it fair. Okay, so I'm not seeing any chipping or damage on the teeth really. They all cut right through the steel. You can see the nails in there. So they all did a pretty good job. Any of these are going to do pretty darn good cutting through any of that kind of stuff. We'll try some of the smaller blades. You're going to see automatically that the speed is going to be greatly reduced with the smaller TPI, but I just want to see how everything does across the board. One more thing I do kind of want to clarify. As far as these blades go, you know, Lennox, Milwaukee, Rigid, everybody makes a pretty good blade. So as long as it says specifically on the package what it's designed to do, you're going to be pretty good with that. Milwaukee does say that fang tooth thing is supposed to make the blade last longer. I mean, we'll see right here, right now. We'll find out if it does or not. I don't know how it's going to cut through the nails or if it's going to at all. But you're going to be pretty close. So if you have a favorite brand, great. I'm not here to, you know, there may be a slight difference. And the same way with the bimetal blades. As long as you get the same tooth per inch and the same thickness, these or the Lennox or the Milwaukees even, they're all probably going to have similar results to what we see right here. So we'll start off, and we've got a Porter cable. Sawzall is our test unit, and we'll see what this thing does. We got some nasty looking wood right here to get started with. Okay, so that's that one. It did cut through the steel, obviously, with some of the ones that were out here, that it kind of blew the wood apart. But let me pound some more nails in here, and then we'll do the Milwaukee one. Okay, we got our Lennox 18 TPI, or tooth per inch. That means there's going to be 18 teeth per inch in there. We'll just see how this does. Cutting wood with quite a few nails. There's actually some cut-off nails in there from the last one, too. Okay, so obviously it'll do it. Just not quite as quick as the other ones, but it also makes it cleaner cut as well. Alright, now we got our Diablo Carbide. This one is the extra thick metal cutting carbide tipped. So we're going to see how this works, and with wood and steel and nails and all this fun stuff in here. Uh-oh, our board's a little broken. We need to set that back down a little bit. Let's try that. Okay, so fairly quick cutting. You know, obviously not anywhere near as fast as a saw blade that's designed specifically to do it, but we did get a fairly nice smooth cut, and you can see there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like 9 or 10 nails stuck in there. So that does really good. It's not quite as fast as your wood blade, but it seemed like it did a great job. And if the carbide holds up, I think it would, in theory, last much longer than one of these. So we'll go ahead and try the next one. Alright, so after doing all this testing, we really get to see what blades work on what and why. And you know, usually the brand doesn't really matter. There's you know, Diablo, Milwaukee, Lennox, they're all putting out a pretty good quality product for the most part. The only one that seemed to have the most advantages, clearly an advantage, is the Milwaukee axe, simply because of this tooth design. You can see it clearly beat. I mean, we beat the crap out of this stuff, cutting metal and stone and all the stuff that it's not designed to do on purpose to see how it holds up. And you can see that it definitely, this thin hook tooth design is far not as good as the Milwaukee design here. So that was a distinct advantage. Most of these bimetal blades, I mean, if you have a Lennox and you have a Diablo or the Torch from Milwaukee, that's going to be, you're going to get roughly the same. I mean, it's not going to be a huge significant amount of difference like we saw with this one here. Biggest thing to remember is if you need thin cutting, you're going to cut like maybe circles or something like that in wood or drywall. Your thinner blades are better. But these thicker blades disperse the heat more on these bimetal blades. So they're going to last longer, and they're also not going to jam and buck and bend nearly as bad as these thinner blades. We could see that pretty obvious with like this one right here. If this was a nice thick blade like these, it would have held up a little bit better. What was interesting to see was where the diamond shined and where the carbide abrasive shined. They cut, but they take a long time to do it. So it is nice to be able to, I would say it would be a good idea to have some of these in your toolkit. And the diamond took longer as well, but it was the only one to cut the actual hardest thing, which was the drill bit at a 66 Rockwell hardness scale. That was the only thing that actually managed to cut that and cut it cleaner than anything else. When is that going to be an application for you? I don't know why you need to cut a drill bit in half or some steel that hard, but at least we know it does it. The new players in the game are the carbide tipped, and that's where I got to really see what happens here when I wanted to see what carbide did versus carbide, because these are both carbide, but this is a carbide tooth and this is a carbide grit. The carbide grit was obviously very slow, and I was super impressed by these blades. The only problem seemed to be that the carbide would break. That's carbide's only issue, is that it's extremely strong, extremely durable, super hard material. Its downfall is that it's brittle. It deals with the heat better than anything else. Any other kind of steel deals with the heat great. The heat doesn't really affect it and break it down like it does these bimetal blades. However, getting it on a product and getting it to where we can use it properly seems to be the issue. These blades would last longer because the carbide is a grit than these, and that seemed to be the main problem, is that the carbide would just shatter and shear off of there. And then of course this one right here, you know, this thing did really well right up until, because this one is a solid strip. And these have individual pieces of carbide brazed onto each tooth. When this flexes, it doesn't affect the cutting edge. However, when this one flexed, when it got hot, you can see it got hot right here, then the metal backing it flexed. And when it flexed, because it's one solid piece of carbide with little teeth in it instead of the individual chunks, that's when this blade broke down and failed. So when you see this one at the store, keep that in mind. This blade will cut, but if you get any kind of binding or flexing, it's not going to hold up, and then the entire blade is going to be destroyed and you're not going to have anything to cut with. So Diablo's the only one that I know of right now that actually is infusing the carbide into their blades. And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, as of right now, I'm not buying any more bimetal blades whatsoever. At the end of the day, that's what's going to stay in my Sawzall, and that's what's going to stay in my bag. They come in different sizes. You can get the little ones, like this here, all the way up to the big 9-inch ones right here. But they just do everything. It's the best all-around Sawzall blade that I could see. It's going to cut your cast iron. It's going to cut steel, mild. That was the other issue with the carbide grit, is that if you cut something softer like aluminum or even the mild steel, it begins to plug this up, and then it starts to generate heat, and then it's going to start breaking down the blade. That's not what you want to have happen. These were able to cut through that and not gum up, because there's a much larger space right here. Did the axe cut through wooded nails slightly faster? Yeah, it did. But you're going to have these and these if you want to use that. I can only see that these would be the best all-around blade for me, because they do everything well. I'm also going to keep some of these and the diamond ones just in case you get into something rough and maybe you break all the teeth off. At least you'll have something for backup. But if you have a diamond, if you got a carbide grit, and you got one of these carbide tooth blades, or a couple of them, you're gonna last a whole lot longer, and that should cut just about anything. I'm really not even gonna waste my money on bimetal blades anymore, simply because, unless I need to make a fine cut, I guess. But hopefully they'll go back to the drawing board on this one. That one did not seem to work out that well. And for what I saw today, as impressive as these were, you can bet that Milwaukee and Lennox are going to be coming out with something similar to this in the very near future. If I had any suggestions or if I could see anything done different, the way these started to break down was the carbide breaking off, and due to impact, because this is a very violent action. It's a very powerful machine, and it's a rough cut, gouge, I mean, rough and tumble, get it done type of thing. So if they could somehow combine the cutting power of the grit and put some grit, the carbide or even diamond grit, behind the carbide teeth in here, I don't know exactly how that would all work out, but if they could impregnate the steel with carbide up in here, then once the teeth failed and the carbide had failed in the teeth, you would still have something to back you up to get that job done and get it finished. That would combine the best of both worlds, where you're going to have that fast action cutting for the softer metals and wood, and you're going to have that super hard backup plan. So I think there's still some evolving that needs to go on with these, and hopefully between the other two companies we'll be able to see that. But as far as I can tell right now, the best blade at the store is this one right here. That's what's going in my bag, and until I see something better, that's where I'm going to stand. So I hope that helps you guys. I hope that helps you pick something at the hardware store, and opened your mind to some other things that we didn't really try before or haven't seen before. And if you got one of these, you can cut just about anything. That's what we found out. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned. We're going to do lots more tool reviews. We're going to do something similar to this with hole saws coming up soon. So stay tuned, subscribe, hit the like button, share this with Facebook, G+, Twitter, all that kind of stuff, and help your buddies out and help them see what they need to see to pick what they need to pick at the hardware store. Thanks a lot.